Frank thought he was doing everything right. He showered daily, stayed active, and followed all the usual advice. But what he didn't realize, he was skipping 5 crucial body parts, hidden areas where bacteria, infections, and even long-term health risks can silently build up. And that tiny mistake, it nearly cost him his health. Most people don't think twice about these areas, but neglecting them can lead to skin infections, bad odors, and even a weakened immune system over time. The good news? Fixing it is simple. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 5 body parts you must wash daily and why missing them could be dangerous. And if you're serious about aging better, not just older, hit subscribe. Every week we share powerful yet simple ways to stay strong, sharp, and healthy. Join thousands of others who refuse to let age define them. Maybe you've felt it too. A strange itch that comes and goes, a mild irritation that you chalk up to dry skin, an odd smell you assume is just sweat. You shrug it off, thinking it's nothing. After all, you shower every day, right? But here's the truth. Most people are unknowingly skipping crucial areas that need proper cleaning. And the problem isn't just surface level. These neglected spots can harbor bacteria, fungi, and even lead to long-term issues if left unchecked. The worst part? You might not even notice the damage until it's too late. So before you assume you're in the clear, let's take a closer look. Because if Frank, a man who thought he was doing everything right, was missing these spots, chances are you might be too. Up next, let's break down the 5 most overlooked body parts you must wash daily, and why neglecting them could silently be cutting years off your life. Body parts 1. The belly button, the hidden germ trap. Frank never gave his belly button a second thought. It was just there, a small dent in his stomach that served no real purpose. He showered daily, scrubbed his arms, legs, and face, but his belly button, he barely touched it. That changed when he started noticing an odd, musty smell. At first, he thought it was just sweat from a hot day, but then came the itch, and when he finally checked, he was shocked to see redness and irritation around the area. Still, he ignored it. A few more days passed, and the discomfort worsened. It wasn't just an itch anymore. There was a slight burning sensation, and when he pressed around the area, he noticed a sticky buildup. That's when he decided to mention it to his doctor. "Frank, when was the last time you actually cleaned your belly button?" the doctor asked. Frank hesitated. I wash my stomach every day in the shower. Doesn't the water just rinse it out?" The doctor sighed. "Not quite. The belly button is like a forgotten storage unit. Dark, warm, and full of bacteria. In fact, studies show it can harbor up to 67 different types of bacteria. And if you don't clean it properly, that buildup can lead to infections, unpleasant odors, and even fungal growth." Frank was stunned. "You're telling me this whole time I've been carrying around a petri dish on my stomach?" The doctor chuckled. "That's one way to put it. Most people don't think about it. But your belly button collects sweat, dead skin, lint, and oils throughout the day. And because it's a warm, moist environment, bacteria thrive there. It's like a hidden germ trap that rarely sees the light of day." Frank couldn't believe it. He had been so diligent about washing his hands, face and feet, but this small, forgotten area had been quietly accumulating bacteria for years. The good news? Keeping your belly button clean is simple. Step 1. Take a cotton swab and soak it in warm, soapy water. Step 2. Gently clean inside the belly button, making sure to reach all areas. Avoid scrubbing too hard. Step 3. Rinse with warm water and pat it dry with a clean towel. Moisture buildup can encourage bacteria, so make sure the area is completely dry. Step 4. If you notice excessive buildup or an odor, use a bit of rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab once a week to disinfect. Most people only need to clean their belly button twice a week. But if you sweat a lot or work out regularly, you may want to do it more often. Neglecting this small area can lead to unnecessary infections that weaken your immune system over time. It may not seem like a big deal now, but as you age, your body's ability to fight bacteria slows down. A small oversight, like skipping your belly button, can turn into a bigger health issue down the line. Frank learned this the hard way, but you don't have to. So ask yourself, when was the last time you cleaned your belly button? If you can't remember, it's time to start. Up next, let's talk about another overlooked area, one that might be causing an odor you don't even realize you have. Body parts 2. Behind the ears, the silent bacteria buildup. Frank had always considered himself a clean guy. He showered every morning, used deodorant, and even splashed on a little aftershave. But lately, something felt off. His wife had been the first to notice. "Frank, have you been sweating more? There's a weird smell when I hug you." Frank frowned. He had just showered. He even checked his shirt, freshly washed. What was she talking about? Days passed, and then he noticed it himself. An odd, almost sour smell that lingered no matter how many times he scrubbed his face and neck. He ran his fingers behind his ears and was surprised to feel a slight greasiness. When he checked in the mirror, the skin behind his ears looked irritated and flaky. What was going on? At his next doctor's visit, Frank casually mentioned it. His doctor nodded knowingly. "You're not alone, Frank. Most people never think to wash behind their ears, but that small, hidden area can become a breeding ground for bacteria and fungus." Frank raised an eyebrow. "Behind the ears? But I shower every day. Doesn't the water just rinse it clean?" The doctor shook his head. "Not really. That area is a perfect trap for sweat, oil, and dirt. And because it's warm and doesn't get much airflow, bacteria build up quickly. Over time, this can lead to irritation, flaking, and even an unpleasant smell, kind of like what you're describing." Frank felt a mix of relief and embarrassment. He had been so focused on scrubbing his face and neck that he had completely ignored the area right behind them. The good news? It's an easy fix. Step 1. Each time you shower, take a warm, damp washcloth with soap and gently scrub behind your ears. Step 2. Make sure to clean from the base of the earlobe up to where your ear meets your scalp. Step 3. Rinse thoroughly, then dry the area well. Moisture buildup can encourage bacteria. Step 4. If you notice irritation or flaking, apply a small amount of fragrance-free moisturizer to keep the skin healthy. It takes less than 10 seconds to do, but most people never think about it. Ignoring this small area won't just lead to an odd smell. It can cause seborrheic dermatitis, a mild skin condition that leads to itching, redness, and flaky skin. Left untreated, bacteria can spread to your scalp and hairline, leading to more irritation. Frank had been dealing with mild dermatitis for weeks without realizing the source. But after just a few days of properly washing behind his ears, the odor disappeared and the irritation cleared up. So ask yourself, when was the last time you cleaned behind your ears? If you can't remember, it's time to start. Up next, let's talk about another overlooked area. One that can seriously impact not just hygiene, but your overall health if left uncleaned. Body parts 3. Under the fingernails, the invisible health hazard. Frank sat on his couch clutching his stomach. It had been a rough couple of days. Nausea, cramps, and that awful sluggish feeling that comes with a stomach bug. He ran through everything he'd eaten, trying to pinpoint what had made him sick. The leftovers, the takeout. But when he finally made it to his doctor's office, the answer surprised him. "Frank, do you wash under your fingernails?" his doctor asked. Frank blinked. I wash my hands all the time. Doesn't that count?" The doctor sighed. "Not always. Studies show that bacteria under your nails can transfer straight into your mouth, increasing the risk of infections. And guess what? The average person touches their face up to 23 times per hour without even realizing it." Frank stared at his hands. He had always kept his nails trimmed, but now that he thought about it, had he ever made a habit of scrubbing under them? Your hands touch everything. Door handles, your phone, money, shopping carts. Even if you wash your hands regularly, bacteria and dirt can get trapped under your nails. And if you bite your nails or eat finger foods without thoroughly cleaning underneath them, that bacteria goes straight into your body. In fact, research has found that fingernails harbor more bacteria than most toilet seats. A horrifying thought when you realize how often your fingers touch your mouth, eyes, and nose. Frank had unknowingly ingested bacteria that had been hiding under his own nails. And that tiny oversight? It had landed him in bed for 3 days with a stomach bug. Luckily, keeping your nails clean is incredibly simple. Step 1. Use a nail brush with warm, soapy water every day, especially after using the bathroom, cooking, or coming home from public places. Step 2. If you don't have a nail brush, use a soft toothbrush or even gently scrub underneath your nails with soap while washing your hands. Step 3. Trim your nails regularly to prevent excessive dirt buildup. Step 4. If you notice discoloration or persistent dirt under your nails, consider soaking them in warm water before scrubbing. It takes just a few extra seconds, but it can protect you from infections, stomach issues, and even more serious health risks. Frank never thought his own hands could be the reason he got sick. But the reality is, unclean fingernails are one of the easiest ways bacteria enter your body. And for older adults, weakened immune systems mean that small infections can lead to bigger health issues. After making a habit of scrubbing under his nails daily, Frank never had another unexplained stomach issue again. So take a look at your nails right now. If there's any dirt under them, you know what to do. Up next, let's talk about another commonly neglected body part, one that could be affecting your breathing and immune system without you even realizing it. Body parts 4, the back of the knees, the forgotten sweat spot. Frank always thought he was diligent about hygiene. He made sure to wash his face, underarms, and feet thoroughly, but there was one spot he never paid attention to, one he never even thought needed extra care. That changed one summer afternoon. It started as a mild itch just behind his knees. At first, he ignored it, assuming it was from sitting too long. But as the days passed, the irritation worsened. The skin felt raw, almost like a sunburn. When he checked in the mirror, he was shocked. Red Inflamed patches covered the back of his knees. "What the heck?" he muttered. The discomfort became unbearable. His skin burned when he walked, sweat made it sting even more, and by the end of the week, even bending his legs felt uncomfortable. Finally, he went to see his doctor. The doctor took one look and nodded. Classic case of heat rash with a possible fungal infection. Frank's eyes widened. "A fungal infection back there," the doctor explained. "Most people don't realize it, but the back of the knees is one of the most overlooked areas when it comes to hygiene. It's a high-friction spot, meaning sweat gets trapped easily. Combine that with warmth and moisture, and you've got the perfect breeding ground for bacteria and fungus." Frank groaned. "So I basically turned my own legs into a bacteria farm?" The doctor chuckled. "You're not alone. A lot of people forget to properly wash and dry this area, especially in hot weather. But when you don't, sweat builds up, irritates the skin, and can lead to heat rash, fungal infections, or even bacterial growth." Frank had never even thought about washing behind his knees. He assumed the water running down his body in the shower was enough, but clearly it wasn't. How to fix it? Step 1. When showering, be intentional about washing behind your knees with soap and water. Don't just let the water rinse over it, actively scrub the area. Step 2. If you sweat a lot or live in a humid climate, consider using an antibacterial soap to prevent fungal buildup. Step 3. After showering, pat the area dry completely with a towel. Moisture trapped in the folds of the skin can lead to irritation and infections. Step 4. If you're prone to sweat buildup, consider using talc-free body powder to keep the area dry throughout the day. Ignoring this small area can lead to heat rashes, fungal infections, and even painful chafing, especially for older adults whose skin is more sensitive. Frank learned this the hard way. After just a few days of properly washing and drying behind his knees, the irritation disappeared. The redness faded, and for the first time in weeks, he could move comfortably again. Now, every time he steps into the shower, he makes sure not to forget this one small but important spot. So ask yourself, when was the last time you washed behind your knees? If you can't remember, it's time to start. Up next, let's talk about one last overlooked area, one that could be affecting not just hygiene, but your overall respiratory health. Body Parts 5, the soles of your feet, the shocking one. Frank had always taken pride in staying active. He walked every morning, stretched before bed, and rarely had issues with mobility. But one day, something changed. It started with a mild itch on the bottom of his feet. Nothing major, just a little annoying. But soon, the itch turned into a burning sensation. Then, the skin on his soles began peeling, and tiny cracks formed along the edges. At first, Frank brushed it off. Maybe it's just dry skin, he thought. But as the discomfort grew, so did his concern. One morning he stepped out of bed, and the pain was sharp enough to make him wince. Walking felt uncomfortable, like the bottom of his feet were raw. That's when he knew something wasn't right. At the doctor's office, the diagnosis came fast. Athlete's foot. Wait, I don't even go to the gym. How did I get this? Frank asked, confused. His doctor explained, athlete's foot isn't just for athletes. It's caused by a fungus that thrives in warm, damp places. And guess what? The soles of your feet are one of the most bacteria-filled parts of your body. Frank frowned. But I shower every day. The doctor nodded. I believe you. But tell me, do you actually scrub the soles of your feet, or do you just let the water run over them? Frank's stomach sank. He knew the answer. Most people don't think about it, the doctor continued, but soap and water alone won't remove the bacteria and fungi that cling to the skin. If you're not actively scrubbing the bottoms of your feet, you're inviting infections. And for older adults, foot infections can lead to bigger problems, including weakened mobility. Frank had never realized how critical foot hygiene was, not just for preventing infections, but for maintaining balance, stability, and overall health. How to fix it? Step 1. When you shower, use a washcloth, sponge, or foot brush to scrub the soles of your feet with soap and warm water. Pay extra attention to the heels and in between the toes. Step 2. After showering, dry your feet completely, especially between the toes. Fungi thrive in moisture, so keeping your feet dry is key. Step 3. If you're prone to sweaty feet, consider using anti-fungal foot powder to keep moisture at bay. Step 4. At home, wear breathable slippers or socks. Going barefoot on damp floors, even carpets, can spread bacteria. Ignoring foot hygiene can lead to fungal infections, calluses, and even bacterial issues that weaken mobility. And for older adults, foot problems can increase the risk of falls and fractures, which can have life-altering consequences. After making foot care a daily habit, Frank's athlete's foot cleared up, and he never had another issue again. His feet felt healthier, stronger, and more comfortable than ever before. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly scrubbed the soles of your feet? If you don't remember, tonight is the night to start. Frank's story is more than just a hygiene lesson. It's a wake-up call. We often think that staying healthy as we age is all about big things. Strict diets, intense workouts, complicated routines. But the truth? It's the small, everyday habits that make the biggest difference. Because neglect doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the little things, the body parts we forget to clean, the tiny warning signs we ignore. And over time, those small things add up. But the good news, so do the small changes. Just 30 extra seconds in the shower could prevent infections. A simple scrub under your nails could stop harmful bacteria from reaching your mouth. And taking care of your feet? That could mean the difference between staying active or struggling to move later in life. Which of these 5 body parts surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're ready to take real control of your health, hit that subscribe button. Every week, we share simple, science-backed ways to age stronger, live longer, and feel better every single day. Because aging isn't about slowing down. It's about getting smarter about how we take care of ourselves. Let's do this together.